Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I'm here for the giveaway winners and for a couple kind of mini reviews also about some books that I've been reading. So as far as the giveaway for Relative Strangers goes, I will jump right into that. So the three winners are going to be Nico Wilkins, Jenna Dunn, and Nerdtastic 2014, which is the perfect username. I will go ahead and comment on your entry thing and see if I can find contact info for you. If not, shoot me an email at capslock179@gmail.com. That is my email address. I will leave it linked down below as well. But if you three could get in touch with me so that you can give me your shipping address so that I can get it to the publisher and your books will be on their way to you guys as soon as possible, that would be fantastic. Congratulations, thank you to everybody who entered that. I actually have another giveaway coming up soon, so stay tuned for that. Moving on to my thoughts about some books. I have a lot of books that I actually want to talk about recently, and I think I'm gonna kind of break them up by genre. So these are gonna be three contemporaries that I really want to discuss. It's gonna be an okay book, a book that I really disliked, and a book that I loved. So let's jump into those. So the first book that I want to talk about is You'll Miss Me When I'm Gone by Rachel Lynn Solomon. This is a book that I'm sure you guys have seen me talking about recently because I hauled it and I was talking about it in a releases video, and I feel like I've given the blurb for this so many times. But in case you would like to know a brief synopsis of this, this is following a set of twins who are both extremely precocious and ambitious girls. One is a phenomenal viola player who is in the process of applying to music colleges. This is not a world that I know about. And her sister, who has always been on the straight and narrow path to go to med school. So obviously these are two very ambitious girls, and pretty much they're right at the tipping point of switching into adulthood and following these dreams that they've been building up for. When they take the genetic test to let them know if they have the gene that will give them Huntington's disease, which their mother is suffering from, so they have seen the downfall of the disease and how hard it is on her and how hard it is on her family and friends. And the moral of the story is one test positive and one test negative. This is obviously going to throw a ton of turmoil in between the two sisters, in the family, and in all of their relationships in general. So knowing all of that going into the story, I expected this to kind of take the Seventh Heaven approach. It was going to be a wholesome family bonding over grief and bonding over a really hard situation, but you come out stronger together in the end. And while it was kind of that, it really, really wasn't. So this was my 3-star read, and I give it 3 stars because it was not wholly enjoyable. It was a very tough read because it's dealing with tough subject matter, which doesn't deter me or really skew my ranking in any way, but it just was not pleasant, and I really disliked both of the twins, to be honest. Neither of them were very likable characters, but it was kind of understandable with everything that they were going through, and you could easily plot out how they became the way they were. So there was character development, but it wasn't great character development, as in they didn't benefit from it. And instead of this awful disease pulling the family together and bonding through tough times, they pretty much just said shit, this sucks. Leave me alone. I'm really pissed off and angry, and I'm gonna make a lot of mistakes and deal with the consequences. Never. It kind of went that route, and it was pretty surprising to me, and I actually kind of enjoyed it for that aspect because not everybody's gonna react in a peaceful family manner. They're gonna kind of explode, or they'll shut off, or they will act out, and that's kind of what happened here. So I highly recommend this book as a very unique YA contemporary because it's not fluffy, it's not about super likable characters, but it's very real. Definitely worth a read. Probably won't reread it, but I will recommend it to other people. Okay, moving on to Love, Hate, and Other Filters by Samira Ahmed. So I kind of impulse bought this because this was making its rounds on BookTube and just in the YA book world in general. So I was intrigued by it because it sounded cute and it sounded diverse and it sounds pretty poignant and prominent for society today. So this is following Maya, who grew up in a Muslim home and was raised under kind of the cultural impression of arranged marriages, but not super enforced, but it's kind of understood that she should be a part of the culture. And all she wants to do is make movies. Her only passion is filmmaking and everything revolving around film and movies. That's her life. And then through the course of the story, she ends up kind of becoming at least texting friends and kind of on and off dating friends with one of the guys that her family sets her up with for the potential of an arranged marriage. They get along really well. She doesn't quite have romantic feelings for him, but it's kind of like budding and they're gonna see where it goes. Meanwhile, she is so hung up on Phil, a guy in her high school that she just fantasizes about and can't get enough of him. Even though he is not clearly the Muslim boy that her parents want her to be with, he's everything she wants. So that's the basic premise of the story. It also deals with a lot of Islamophobia and bullying and really extreme terrorist issues that our country is facing right now, and it shows an internal view of that, which was pretty eye-opening, and I really appreciated that. Aside from that, this was my 2-star book. So, like I was saying, the whole Islamophobia thing is extremely important. I am so glad that that is included in a story right now. And like I said, it was very eye-opening for me, who has never dealt with something like that, to really see how bad it can be. And just the overall prejudice that people can face was phenomenal in this book. Unfortunately, this book kind of went down the road that When Dimple Met Rishi went down. While the Islamophobia thing was a facet of the story, it was only kind of present in the second half of it, and the rest of it was internal monologue of Maya while she's kind of torn between these two guys, so it's kind of a forced love triangle, which I personally don't really like. But I also thought that Maya was extremely immature and extremely juvenile with how she reacted to situations. Pretty much if she didn't get what she wanted, or if she thought that her parents were being overbearing or ridiculous, she threw hissy fits and just kind of gave them the quiet treatment. And for a kid who was supposed to be like 17, almost 18, almost an adult, it seemed really immature to read from that perspective. And as far as the whole relationship aspect of the story goes, it wasn't very realistic. Like, she's going back and forth between these two guys, and she definitely grows as a character. There is some character growth in her as she kind of learns what she wants and what she doesn't want. But my main issue with this book is that it deals with cheating. And this kind of goes back to the Anna and the French Kiss situation. The guy that she is so into, Phil, the American boy that she's just fantasized about forever and finally starts to give her attention and starts to clearly show feelings for her, he is in a relationship. I can't stand when that gets glorified in YA, because while we're from the perspective of like the other girl, it's still not okay to keep pursuing and keep doing these things. It's fine if you have a crush on this guy, but she is actively like hanging out with him and flirting with him behind this other girl's back, and it's very clear that this other girl doesn't know what's happening and clearly is not quite ready to let go of this relationship, which is clearly doomed because obviously Phil, the guy, is like talking with another chick. But I just really dislike seeing that, and there's kind of multiple aspects of that throughout this book, and it rubs me the wrong way when I read about relationships like that. So I gave this 2 stars just because I personally didn't connect with any of the characters. I didn't really love any of the relationships. I liked the character growth because she did slightly mature, kind of, by the end, and she never really gave up her dreams of the whole film thing. That was pretty present through the entire story. And I think it's really important to read about stories that have prejudice in it and to show it from the receiving end of it and how horrible it can be and how draining it can be over something that you have no control over. So I think it's a very important read. If you are at all interested in it, I highly recommend picking it up because it's very short. So it was pretty eye-opening in that aspect. As far as the YA contemporary aspect of it goes, it fell flat for me, so I only gave it 2 stars. And the last book that I want to talk about is my 5-star read, and that is Emergency Contact by Mary H.K. Choi. I knew the basic premise of it, and I was intrigued, and I was kind of in a contemporary mood. I binged through this book in like a day and a half, and I loved it so much. So first of all, this can kind of bridge the gap between YA and new adult because we're dealing with college-age students here, which I love seeing. It's kind of reminiscent of Fangirl, where it's a girl who is like in her first year of college and really experiencing life outside of living with her family and living at home in the protection of her little bubble there. I love that time period to read about because it's still kind of fresh and new. It's more relatable to me because they're dealing with real world issues or just kind of of like adult issues for the first time, and I'm still in my 20s, I'm still dealing with stuff like that, so I love seeing that in books. So this book is about Penny, who is very self-aware and is aware of the fact that like she was kind of a nobody in high school and is ready to leave that behind and really become herself. She kind of envisions herself really coming into her own and being cooler as an adult. So she's living like that. So Penny meets Sam, and through a weird series of events, they end up exchanging phone numbers and just texting a lot. And we live in an age where everybody can kind of relate that it's very easy to open up through text message without actually confronting somebody face to face. If you can just kind of type out your feelings, it's a lot easier to get them out than trying to actually verbalize them. So this book blew me away. I have not laughed out loud at a book like I have in this one. Like, I was snorting, it was unattractive, but there are so many lines that drop in this book that just had me cackling. Writing is also extremely relevant to right now. This is very much a 2018 novel, and it's phenomenal as a debut. I'll just say that. It's amazing writing as a debut. Is it timeless though? No, because a lot of the lingo and slang and pop culture references are so relevant right now. It's the most realistic viewpoint of what being like 18, 19, 20, what that's like, and all of the internal thoughts that you have, and all of the weird doubts and suspicions that you have about yourself and about other people. It definitely touches a little bit on social anxiety and depression, but it handles it really, really well. It's very realistic, but I just appreciated so much of the internal monologue of these two characters. It's split between Sam and Penny, the guy and the girl. So you see both of their perspectives, and it's just so real, and it was refreshing, A, to see a guy who has feelings, and the guy is the one who got dumped at a certain point and is heartbroken and is not dealing well and is accepting the fact that he's not dealing well, and he's kind of emotionally purging onto Penny. While Penny is also receiving this, she is also kind of trying to come to terms with who she is as a person, and he is kind of the wall that she's bouncing her thoughts off of. So they just kind of form this really solid relationship between themselves. It's not romantic, it's not quite platonic. It's like somewhere in the middle for most of the book, but obviously feelings are starting to arise, and it was just so good. I adored every second of this book. I highly, highly recommend it. If you were at all interested in it, you'll fly through it. But I just think the characters as a whole are timeless. I adore them. I can't stop thinking about them. I finished it literally this morning, and I've just been like smiling ever since. I just like the characters so stinking much. This was a 5-star read, even though I know it has kind of its time flaws. The writing makes up for it. It's just so good. Okay, I've talked a lot in this video. So, those are my thoughts on 3 contemporaries that I've read recently. That is gonna be it. Congratulations to the winners. Again, email me, or, get in touch with me on any of my social medias. I check my DMs on Twitter, on Instagram. Look forward to hearing from you guys so that I can get your shipping address to get your books out to you. And to everybody else, I do have another giveaway coming up very soon, probably for multiple books, so there will be multiple chances to win. So that is gonna be it. Subscribe if you would like to stay notified for that giveaway. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this, and I'll see you in my next video.